And a very good evening, everybody. Welcome to the live. And today we'll be engaging in a very interesting topic in terms of our series that we've been running over the couple of few weeks. And today we'll be looking at soul ties. Soul ties. Today we'll be joined by our esteemed guests, um, namely Indlondle Nkulu, Umam Joy Mohami, uNomzane uhloniphekile kakhulu, Mr. Xavier, and we'll be waiting for our esteemed guests to join us and we can get the workshop on the road. In the interest of garnering and giving everybody an opportunity to come into the room, I'm going to wait for at least 5 minutes for everybody to come in, and then once everybody has come in, we will then start with the live. All right. Okay. All right. So thank you for everybody that has made it into the room thus far. We're going to give it 5 minutes for everybody just to trickle in. I'm going to get also my panel to be ready and my guests to be welcomed into the room. And let's get this show on the road. Welcome, Ndumbi. Welcome, Len. Welcome, Shumi. So today we're not going to be doing any yes/no questions, guys. Today's will be strictly a workshop. I'll be having a very detailed workshop in and around soul ties, which is a topic that is otherwise very pertinent and will be of value in terms of allowing us to then circumnavigate these very difficult and very tumultuous times that we're facing right now so that we can have a more deeper and more rooted understanding in and around what soul ties are. Gama Gundumbi, welcome to the live. Welcome Mutso. Welcome Asimbonge. Welcome Sia. I'm trying to locate my guests. And good evening, Hope. Good evening, Watermark. Hey, Makosini Nono. Thank you so much, guys, for being here today. Our guests today are two of our very esteemed ascended masters, who are even beyond ascended masters. I mean, I'm talking about people that are very well accomplished in their resume, and it is an absolute honor to have my guests today. One of my guests is Mr. Xavier. He hails from America as a Qigong master, which he will explain once he's here, as well as Umam Joy Mukhami, who is also a solar. Let me see if they're not in the room. I'm just going to inquire and find out if I can't get them into the room. A Solar Sophia Oracle. A Solar Sophia Oracle. So this evening, guys, we will be speaking about soul ties, a very interesting topic that is going to give us substantial information over and above all that we will be abreast with everything that we need to know. I'm trying to locate my guests, and I should imagine that they'll be with us anytime now. In the interim, maybe they're in the room. I'm not able to see anybody. I do see there's about 16 people in the room. I am going to give it another 2 minutes before I commence, everybody. Good evening, Fundisiwe. Always such a pleasure to have you here. Always such a pleasure. Welcome, A. We appreciate the love. Welcome, Miss B. Welcome to the room. Asimbonge. Welcome to the room. Oh, there is one of my guests. All right. Indlondlo-ke seyifile. Our guests are with us now, guys. Let me commence the live. Let me go and invite Indlondlo Nkulu. Umam Joy Mohami, who's the one. I've sent an invitation, and once they accept the invitation, then we can start with the workshop of today. Thank you once again, everybody. Togoza Matlom, always such a pleasure to see you. Fantastic and stellar. All my day ones are in the room. And guys, please continue to share, like, and follow. Let's get a following. Let's get people aware in terms of this live. I think it will be very crucial and very beneficial to each and every one of us in truth. And my Marcos, Marcos. All right. So at the moment, I'm waiting to accept the invitation, and we can start going. Thank you so much, madams, for the absolutely appreciated there. Togoza Ndonjo.
Thokoza makhosi.
Ninjani ma.
Re teng le teng lona.
Hayi siyaphila mntomdala. Is Mr. Xavier with you there as well?
Yes, I'm here, Togoza.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Xavier. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We can commence now. Yeah, we're right on time with exactly what we want to do. I'd like to open the session with a short little prayer that we get into the spirit of this workshop for today. Father God, be with us in the room today. May you give us clear, concise messages, guide our hearts, guide our spirits, guide our tongue, guide our intentions, that they become very positive. Let us give the information that will be of value to the people that are here today. Allow us to be the vessels and instruments that you've called us to be on this earth, that we may serve, O Lord, and be to your instrument and to your purpose. And with those words, we open the workshop today. And I would like to firstly honor and revere my guests today that have joined us today, and just give some background to all the audience that is in the room, just to make, let's just give some reverence there. Our first guest of honor today is, I always go with ladies first, is Umam Mdala, the Oracle of Nala. This is Umam Joy Muhammad. She is a Solar Sophia Oracle. Umam Joy hails as an African priestess as well as a quantum healer on a planetary mission to return the cosmic maps in terms of genetic records as well as cosmic technologies of ancients to the earth lineages, particularly to the lineages stationed in the African grids. Big title. Second to that, we've got Mr. Xavier, who is a shaman monk as well as a sexual alchemist and a creative artist in the planetary mission of returning codes of magic, immortality, as well as storytelling of ancients. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper into their intro for the interest of getting everybody into the room and also on the same page. I think let me just have that short introduction. And maybe Zindondo Zame Zintle, maybe you'd also be able to want to maybe give some background to yourselves. I think you guys would do yourselves more justice, as I feel as I'm reading your biography here. I feel that I'm not doing you guys justice enough, so that we can have a clear understanding of your divine gifts and your abilities in the room.
All right, thank you. Yes, for me, I can say that I am an oracle, and an oracle is really a messenger of God or someone who is a vessel of God, and that is what I'm here to do. I went through different initiations to awaken this an ancient you named an ancient gift that in the in Africa. In my culture, in Botswana, we call it Ibone. Right. Another name is Batsidi. And we are both aware of the spiritual realm as well as the physical realm. Actually, I went in the physical world as well as in so that is to bring messages from the spiritual realm to us as well. So that's what I do. A lot of bringing divine wisdom, and I do it through teachings and even through other oracles.
Sure. We just have a bit of a network constraint, but I think we can manage. Just to manage the expectations in the room and just to echo. My guests are streaming all the way from. You guys are in Botswana at the moment, Coco.
Yeah.
Yes, so there could be a bit of a transmission challenge, but we will then continue and be in the energetic confluence that Spirit will be able to then deliver the message accordingly and will be able to then hear you. Siyathokoza mntanami. Okay.
Tokoza.
Maybe or Mr. Xavier also maybe introduce himself. I was really interested in the title of the King Gong Master. Maybe we could also have just some background on what is a Qigong master.
Sorry, what is a what?
Qigong.
His
Oh,
title,
Chico Master.
Qigong master. Qigong master. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Wes Xavier. I am from America, originally, and my background began as being an ordained reverend. I ventured out to the esoteric studies with a focus on Christian perspectives. I also studied as a Shaolin monk for 2 years, synthesizing everything that I learned as esoteric teachings. And that was the place where I learned most of what is called Qigong, based on the teachings of recirculating vital energy, the subtle bodies, the emotional bodies, being able to preserve and conserve what they call chi. So physical movements, as mental practices, and emotional practices that contribute to long life, extended life,
Mm.
and contribute to emotional well-being. This is also based on teachings that connect to a divine connection.
100%.
Oh, this
Thank you
echo is
very
really
much,
bad.
Mr. Xavier. Yeah,
Can I
the
ask
echo is
you when you
very
are
low.
speaking, take your audio off?
My side,
Yes, when we're speaking.
when you guys are speaking. Let me see if I can mute myself. If I muted you, I think I muted your microphone. I'm going to try and mute again.
Okay. Yes, that was only when we're speaking because it sounds like this. I don't know if where it's coming from, but it's much clearer. I don't know for everyone who's listening, are you able to hear us now? Is there an echo now from your side?
Yeah, now this is much, much clearer. This is much, much clearer. It is so fun. It's as if we're in the same room. It's giving that echo that you have when you've got two connections in one room. It's as if it's reverberating. All right. So I think in the interest of maybe just for everybody hearing you again, would you mind just to repeat yourselves, please, kindly, guys?
Okay. So just a little bit about what I do. My name is Joy Muhami, and I am an oracle. And I've done different types of initiations within the oracular arts. The oracular arts are just another form of prophecy, right? So in my language, in Setswana, we call those who are oracles mabone or Batsidi, and the actual direct translation of that, Batsidi is the one who lives in the physical realm and the one in the spiritual realm. And so by virtue of that gift of being able to move between these two worlds, as an oracle, our work is to bring living wisdom, right? Real life, real moment wisdom from the spirit realm to this. And for us as oracles in particular, we're doing this through the Holy Spirit and through the office of the Christ, right? Because oracles have this very vast gift of accessing any information from different sources, which is why it's very key to know where you're sourcing your information. So as Oracle of Nala, my work is particularly to awaken other oracles in Africa. And a lot of the time I get the question, what are oracles? What are oracles? Because most people here in Africa, we know of like traditional healers, herbalists, sangomas, shamans, right? But there's a whole collective of people who may connect or define their gifts within the realm of prophecy. And it's not only limited to prophecy within the church, it's much greater and vaster than that. And those people, through that lineage, they are the oracles, right? And they're also the cosmic priests as well that are here to bring this living wisdom that may go beyond the boundaries of scripture and any other text, right? So that is what oracles are. So what I do is I do a lot of teaching. We teach, both of us, in Wara Mystery School, as well as I awaken and initiate other oracles as well. They can also come from outside Africa, but particularly I'm called to melanated people, Black people, what we call the oracles of Arkebula and the original name of Africa. So all of us who are connected to our continent, that is who I'm called to work with. Yeah.
Beautiful. Mr. Xavier, just another short intro, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wef Xavier. As Joy has already stated, I'm connected to her. I am her partner, and we work in Warrior Mystery School together. My background is I started out as an ordained reverend. I expanded my training to study esoteric Christian perspectives. I did that for about 4 or 5 years, and then I proceeded to be trained as a Shaolin monk for 2 years, learning lots of teachings and trainings based on conserving energy, preserving life force through the body, through methods of Qigong, which deal with connecting to the elemental energies, the sun, the mountains, the waters, and finding direct channels in the body to use that ever-giving life force to move through the body and heal and conserve and preserve to extend life. When I met Joy, I was introduced to more of the African indigenous teachings, and we have been working in Warrior Mystery School ever since. My current title is the Cosmic Priest, as I have learned a lot just working with Joy in terms of the gift of prophecy and how that has kind of goes hand in hand with being an ordained reverend, especially in the African indigenous culture. Also learned a lot about what she calls quantum field work and morphogenetic fields, which has expanded my view and perspective from being originally just an ordained reverend to a more cosmic view that goes beyond biblical scripture, but also uses that, but goes into the cosmic records and the ancient history, as well as the indigenous history and traditions that align melanated people to the source of all that is, and to extending and preserving life.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to get into the workshop and also just share as well that, over and above all, with all the different disciplines and within the discipline under African spirituality or spirituality as a whole globally, I think I need to share this with you, Lon, because that I've always seen you as Okobela, but a very advanced Kobela in the sense that, you are in the mystic space, in the cosmic space, which, you know, creates a link between, so I would possibly call it quantum physics, and what we would see as the third dimensional world, which creates a whole new level and understanding to the broad spectrum, to the discipline of spirituality, which creates, a new vortex and a well of formation that when I went through some of the material in terms of the master classes that you were facilitating, I found so much value and so much growth and so much unlocking, and I do hope that most of the people in the room would be able then to be able to then take advantage as well in terms of the offerings that you are offering currently at the mystery school, and take full advantage of it, guys, because I do promise you it is going to change your life. And without any further ado, let us get into the topic of the day. Today's workshop, ladies and gentlemen, will be centered around a soul tie. It's an ancient question that has been riddling humanity for some time. We have our own different perspectives as to what exactly is a soul tie, and what we're looking to do with this series is we're going to unpack it over a series of possibly 3 weeks. And what we're going to be covering over these next 3 weeks, we're going to cover what is a soul tie and its definition. Second to that, we're going to look at the characteristics of a soul tie, as well as signs of soul ties. Of absolute importance as well are the stages so that we can identify these soul ties. Secondary to that as well is soul ties and how to identify that these soul ties are coming to an end. And is it true that these soul ties do come back? Then we will then sum it up with the conclusion. And then towards the end of the presentation, all of these series that we will do, we'll open up a segment towards the end where we will be taking questions that will be fledging clarity with anything that we have shared so that we are all on the same page. And before we start, guys, can we please just have a warm welcome to our guests by showing some love? Can we just tap those screens and show some hearts in the room, and then we can commence? Kind of you. Welcome, Bobo. And today we're not going to be answering any yes/no questions for those that have come into the room and are wondering what is happening. We're doing the masterclass today, and we're speaking about soul ties. Without any further ado, let us go into what exactly is a soul tie. A soul tie is what we know as a strong emotion or spiritual connection between two people that can be either romantic, can be platonic, and or familial. So I always like to break down those words. Romantic is, of course, as we all know, a relationship between two people. Platonic can be friends. Familial can also be family members within the family. The term originated in the New Age belief system, but can also be applied to anyone regardless of their spiritual and their religious beliefs, because soul ties are not limited to anything. Some signs that you may have some soul ties with someone can include the following: feeling an unusual intensity between two people when they meet initially or for the first time. Second to that is a feeling of a sense of deep familiarity as well as comfortability. Third to that is a feeling of being led to insight by this person's presence in your life. These people create somewhat of a magnetic attraction towards you. So you guys become so attracted to each other. It's like polar opposites, which is very beautiful to experience such. Soul ties can be healthy and very much unhealthy. And predominantly in the circular media at the present moment, we talk a lot about unhealthy soul ties. It becomes an aspect of, an eye-opener when we speak about the duality of it all. Everything in this world comes in duality, meaning that soul ties can both be healthy and unhealthy, and we will unpack those as we go on. So depending on the quality of relationship, healthy soul ties can have positive impacts on on the mental health of a person, while unhealthy soul ties can then create issues such as codependency. So the first telltale sign that you're in a possibly a negatively affected or unhealthy soul tie, you will feel this aspect of codependency as one of the feelings that you will feel. Another thing, that healthy one, you will then feel, this mutual symbiotic relationship where you guys are feeding off each other, which becomes a beautiful symphony between the two of you. In a religious context, the term soul tie is sometimes used to describe a mystical or cosmic connection with somebody. In some religious teachings, there is a belief that a supernatural bond can be formed between individuals through sexual intimacy. And I'd like to unpack this in terms of how I view how a soul tie is formed with regards to sexual intimacy. Now, the act of sexual intimacy, when we go back into the beginning of time, uh, if my research serves me well, there was a point in time where it was only reserved purely for procreation and nothing else. It was revered and viewed as a sacred act purely for procreation because of what happens during two people when they copulate. Let us enter into the physical act itself. We do see that there is the act of a pineal gland inserted inside the vulva, which will then rupture the hymen. That action of the gland's penis rupturing or entering the vulva and rupturing the hymen, we see that process as a form of creating a soul contract of some form, being known as a soul tie. So this is where people sign, all right? And with everything in the past, and I hope I explain it well because for some reason I can hear it well in my head and when it has to come out, it's a bit all over the place, but nonetheless, for a virgin, when they lay with somebody new, the reason why they bleed is because a covenant is formed. And the reason why a soul tie is so strong is that not only do we have a physical level that is being explored there, there's the psychological level. The psychological level is that when you engage for the first time in intimacy with somebody, there's a surge in oxytocin release, there's a surge in dopamine release, there's a surge in dopamine release. This creates an environment that creates an opening into a portal to you and this particular person to meet at a very spiritual level, and you start entering in some form of agreement. It goes a little bit deeper there. Once the hymen is ruptured and the blood is then released, this is then the sealing of the soul tie or covenant that is formed between you and your significant other. In essence, the release of these hormones, the rupture of the hymen, the connection of two emotions through the art of fornication creates a soul tie that is so deep. It's by design created not to be undone. And as such, this is why the Bible always punts the thing to say, thou shalt not have any sex prior to marriage. So at another spiritual level, there are covenants that are created because soul ties are not only at a physical level or a psychological level, they're also created by words. So spiritually, as you vow with your significant other while you are engaging in copulation, words like I love you form a covenant that will then unite these two people and create now this soul tie. I'd like to pose a question to my panel is from a cosmic view and also a mystic view, why do soul ties exist? And I'll mute myself in the interim.
Right. Thank you for sharing that, Mukudum. So why do soul ties exist? So we're going to be speaking specifically from a cosmic lens, right? So from a cosmic lens, we understand that we are first spirit before we are humans, right? And that many of us, not many, all of us, we originate first from the spiritual realm and we incarnate into a human body. So the story of soul ties actually begins before we are human, when we are in the spirit realm. So essentially, soul ties exist because it's the foundation of creation. Creation is built through what we call Ubuntu, consciousness, and all ever permeating consciousness that exists as what we call God. And that consciousness splits itself into many individuations, which later become the different spiritual beings that we are part of. But the way that creation it separates itself into groups, right? And these groups are called lineages or families or groups of consciousness, right? This is where the whole soul tribe comes from, right? Is because that's how creation is. So just before you even incarnate, you already exist in a spiritual lineage, a spiritual family. And by virtue of that, there will always be a magnetism that will exist even when you continue to enter the life stream where you are born into planet Earth. And you will begin to magnetize people who are connected to you from the spiritual realm, and that energy, that connection will be brought forth here. And then there is a whole, obviously, cosmology of spiritual experiences that we go through before we are even born, and we can go into that in the next question, and how these spiritual experiences have a pattern,
100%.
and it's part of Okay. Part of spiritual laws that these patterns will always gravitate towards each other. So when you say I have a soul tie with this individual, in most cases that individual, you have already met them even before you are human. In the spirit realm, there's already a connection, right? And all that's playing out is just the physical component of it. So all of the partners that we've had are connected to us in other ways in the spiritual realm. So this is why they exist. They don't exist because you just engage in a sexual encounter with an individual. In the first place, what brought you and magnetized you to that person was already a coexisting spiritual connection that existed before you were both born, right? And you're just playing it out, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very key thing to know, that soul ties go beyond this lifetime. I believe we'll talk about that more, but to understand from a cosmic lens, soul ties are almost an autonomous thing that whether you are conscious of it or not, it's a pattern that has happened in the past, as Joyce said, in the spiritual realm. Maybe it happened in other lifetimes before, to where you have this synergy with a particular person. And in this lifetime, the quests or the task is to create an equilibrium balance with this soul tie, to where it is organic, giving life to each other and being able to alchemize that relationship to where it is healing, versus creating a loop of a pattern that causes suffering for both parties or one of the parties involved. So that cosmic view begins to expand the perception of what soul ties are, and from a cosmic lens, why they're important And even why, as the question says, why are they created in the first place? There is a divine scheme in soul ties. There's a divine mapping of, once you understand that from a cosmic lens, you come from a soul family. And in that soul family, everybody has a particular role to play out. Everybody has a particular quest. And in that family, there's a common theme for all of the people in that one particular family. Someone might be the leader, the person that pushes the soul family forward. Someone else might be the support. And depending on which lifetime and which incarnation they're going through, someone might be in this lifetime in the physical, another two of the people might still be in the spiritual realm. So there's always this equilibrium balance, and there's this opportunity to create what, let's say, repentance, or purifying whatever karmic debt is created in that soul family. But I'll stop there because that's going into something we'll talk about later.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ndondo and Mr. Xavier there. What a beautiful presentation to that question. And, another question is coming to mind as we're going into the question of what are soul ties. And you've touched into exactly what the purpose of the soul tie is. Maybe a question that is leading at the present moment is, what is it that people struggle with soul ties? What is the common thread that we're all missing as a society that prevents us from then meeting this obligation to then satisfying the soul tie, so that we can have this equilibrium, so that we can have this balance in the cosmos, so that we can have this experience of maybe the clearing of the soul tie, so that it can appease itself and its purpose. Maybe, I don't know if I've asked the question properly.
Yes.
Yes.
Why as human beings we struggle with soul ties. So just gonna go a bit bigger and bigger as we go along. For those who are joining us, I hope you stay with us, right? So, nature or creation moves in cycles, and it moves in time or cosmic clocks, right? There's a clock that we're following, just like the way we have seasons. It's very hot in Botswana right now because we are in spring, and for whatever reason, our spring is very hot, right? And these seasons are part of creation. So even our experience here on this planet is all part of creation as well. And we are in the particular season where, as human beings, we have went so deep into exploring ourselves as physical beings, and we're exploring what it's like to be talking on a phone like this, the material world. And the more we have explored this, the more we have forgotten who we are as well as spiritual beings. Originally, we are spiritual beings. So we have forgotten this because the cosmic clock has put us in a cycle where this is what is supposed to happen, where we forget, and then we will rise again. There will be a time where soul ties will be part of a norm. A 5-year-old will know what that is, right? But where we are right now, the season that we are in, it was where we had to go deeper into exploring ourselves as physical beings and seeing what we could create. And this is why we've created all these amazing technologies. But unfortunately, there has come a cost of forgetting who we are as spirit, and most importantly, forgetting spiritual laws. So we don't actually remember how this life we're living, how it actually works, most of us. And a lot of the time, you have to go to a mystery school. This is where a mystery school comes from, to actually remember these laws and what is actually really taking place. So the main reason why connections with other people may feel very painful is because we don't recognize them, we don't remember them. There may be a soul whisper, though. Most people, when they meet someone who's important, who's part of that soul family, they feel it. They feel like something is familiar about this person. I don't know what it is, right? But there's not enough information, though, about why do I feel a resonance with this person? Why do I feel drawn to this person? Or why is this breakup so painful, more painful than all the other ones, right? Because the connection, the soul tie was strong, and there may be reasons why that may go beyond this life as you remember it, right? So there's all this memory that we have lost. We call it divine memory, we call it living memory. Right. And so part of the work of awakening to our spirituality is really awakening this memory that we have lost so that we can start living informed lives. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. The biggest thing that Joy has said I want to add to is the, for lack of a better word, the ignorance that we operate under as human beings. We think we are in control of our lives. We have our own choices that we make. We participate in relationships. We think that this is like our own independent experience, separate from everyone else, separate from the whole complete puzzle, not realizing the magnetism that draws you towards particular people that in your conscious mind and your conscious self in this lifetime, you say, I've never met this person before. I don't know this person, but I want to get to know them. That magnetism comes from the spiritual realm. It comes from the soul ties that go beyond this realm, which allow the soul ties to manifest in this physical realm. So for those toxic relationships to where people can't understand why they've been in this relationship for so long, why there's so much hate in the relationship, but they continue to go on, and why it was so difficult to recover, it's because that soul tie goes beyond this life. But if that person is not given that information, and if their consciousness is not expanded to that epiphany and illumination of this person may have killed me in a previous lifetime, or we may have been sworn enemies, and now we're trying to balance the scale, but in the conscious mind, I'm not aware that I'm balancing this scale. I'm just aware something about this person entices me, and I know I shouldn't feel good about it, but there's something familiar about it that makes me feel good, or makes me feel like I'm at home. So the key point is acknowledging these different feelings and understanding where to put them in a category for your spiritual self, and also where to put them in a category for your human self, so your human self may be protected from emotional distress, from physical harm that may take place or may happen. So this is a very important map that we see most people don't have, and they think that there is a guiding light to in their own life that is just almost halfway covered. There's only a piece of light showing of, they're saying, why do I have soul ties issues? But they have to take the veiling off and see the bigger piece of the puzzle, that there is so much more. Anybody that you resonate from, as Joy said earlier, when you're, the ideal situation is when you are 5 years old and you look at a person who might supposedly be your friend in elementary school. The consciousness that we are given is supposed to immediately know, I've seen this person before. I've mingled with this spirit before. But if we're being honest, in the back of our mind, when we have those moments, there's part of us that knows that I've had an experience with this person before. I can't put my finger on it. I can't pinpoint where it's coming from, but there's definitely a familiarness to it. And it's important to be able to deter yourself to say, is this familiarness of organic origin? Was it a mutual loving relationship in the past? Or was this someone who was on my bad list, someone that was wishing me harm, or someone that I was wishing harm, or vice versa? In this lifetime, I'm trying to get my lick back or my hit back.
Absolutely. And, as you guys are explaining, Mr. Xavier, what comes to mind here is, would my statement be correct if I was to say, as a universal conscience, as we're playing out this life thing and this earth game, are we in a perpetual cyclic universal loop of tit for tat where we are saying that I was aggrieved by person A, and maybe person A, will call it for argument's sake, goes to some form of court or council to then say, look, in the next lifetime, to balance out the scale, I feel I was aggrieved by person A. To balance out the scales, I'd like to invoke possibly karma on them and balance the scale so that they can feel what I have felt. Would that be correct? Meaning that are we in a perpetual loop cycle? Because it seems as if, like you is eloquently quite explaining right now, Mr. Zabe, somebody maybe had done you wrong and maybe had killed you in the previous lifetime. And in this lifetime, you want to get your leg. In the event where you now get the opportunity to kill them, is it that the thing that he will then also go back to this council and say, look, I was killed again this lifetime. I also want to get my leg. How does it work? How do we get a balance onto this situation?
That is a great question. The key component to that, the answer to that question is forgiveness. And it also deals with the laws of karma and debt. Given the scenario you just expressed, from lifetime, if someone is constantly seeking to get that hit back, that lick back, all it does is create that continuous loop to where every lifetime is the same story over and over again. So this is what I was talking about earlier about in the soul family, there has to be a leader to push the soul family or the soul group or even the soul groups that are next to each other to the next pivotal point to where everybody in the soul family is able to reap the benefits because one or two people decided to forgive, decided to have compassion, decided in this lifetime when they were supposed to get their lick back, they decided to have love and forgiveness and decided to love that person, whether it be in an actual relationship or whether it be just a friend, to where you support that person throughout their life and throughout their journey. And that takes a lot of spiritual cultivation. That takes a lot of dissolving of the ego, dissolving of the eyes that have desires, that have needs, to be able to make that sacrifice, if you will, for the greater good. And that also contributes that healing impulse that is created when you're able to let bygones be bygones and you're able to dissolve that hate or that animosity creates an exponential power in the spiritual realm that will free the shackles of anybody that's in that soul family. They get a lifeline, they get an expansion, and that collective group can get upgraded to enter into a different realm, to have a better experience. They will get better grace. And if this person is destined to incarnate again, maybe next lifetime they'll incarnate with a more wholesome lifestyle to where they don't have to suffer as much. They have a wonderful life as a human. They have a wife, they have children, they have a good life, they have wealth and abundancy. So all of that is a contributing factor. As you said, when you go to the council and you're saying, I want my lick back, getting that lick back or that kickback comes with its own consequences to where you are also signing up to continually go through the same cycle to where you're not expanding to a greater degree. I believe most people that are interested in spirituality are interested in ascension and escaping the game or escaping the matrix to where they have ascended past it, they have mastered it to move to a greater level. So that to me is the biggest principle, is understanding, don't get lost in the game that is simulating here. Understand the bigger piece of the puzzle, as Joy says earlier. Before you were a physical human, you were a spiritual being, and your spiritual life continues on. So what are the riches? What is the wealth that is being created in your spiritual life when you have compassion, when you have forgiveness? This is even why Joy and I have had many sessions to where there is a husband and a wife, are either a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and they have a child. And the biggest mission that these two people have for the life is to have children and live a wholesome life. Now, from a spiritual lens, someone might say that's simple, that's easy, but that pack of love, of true compassion, to where these two people are faithful to each other, can create a huge arc of healing for them in the spiritual realm that allows a lot of sins, if you will, or acts of animosity and rage to be forgiven, and the scale is shifted in their favor, not only for them, but for the lineages that they bring forth into this world. Right.
Thank you, Mr. Zove. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I've got goosebumps. And I'm looking at the comments here in the group, and definitely, Nombuso, the session is being recorded, and the session I certainly will upload onto the YouTube channel as well. I saw another comment as well from Promise that requested a topic on the twin flame journey. Absolutely, these are the topics that we will be covering, just like we covered the karmic twin. What did we cover the last week? Yeah, I think it was a karmic partner that we covered last week, definitely. And I've got so many questions, and I'm looking at time, and I'm thinking, look, I need to just check the temperature into the room. Is everybody still okay? Can we please have a show of love with some hearts? If we can continue, I had actually scheduled this session for 30 minutes, and I also need to check with my panel. Mama and Baba, are you guys still comfortable to continue? You don't have any other commitments? Should we maybe Mama Joy?
Yes, we are still good
Yes,
to
are you guys
continue.
still comfortable?
Good to continue.
Still good to
Yes.
come. Thank you very much. All right. Let me then proceed as well in terms of the workshop content to then go to the second segment in terms of what are the characteristics then of a soul type so that we are all in keeping. So the first characteristic of a positive soul, well, we did distinguish that there's a positive and a negative, and I'm going to start with the positive aspects of what a positive soul tie is. The characteristics of a positive soul tie would speak to a mutual respect in terms of a relationship. Both individuals are able to respect each other, respect their boundaries, respect their opinions and individuality. And if we're honest with ourselves, one of the key challenges in the relationships that are now with that the collective are faced with is that they are faced with people that challenge their boundaries. And this is the first thing that goes. And this is something that I found has affected me personally from a lived experience, that some of the relationships that I engaged in, the first thing that goes is the boundaries. And opinions, individuality depends, I suppose, on the character that allows you to stand on that. Second to that is support and achievement. A positive soul tie allows this relationship to have upliftments within the relationship, encouragement, and then provides also a sense of safety. The relationships of nowadays, ladies and gentlemen, feel like you don't know whether you're coming or going, whether you're in it together, whether you're a sneaky link. You're always questioning, where are you in this quantum, or in this dual dynamic in terms of where am I placed? Third to that, there needs to be growth orientation within the positive soul tie, where both of you stimulate the growth and help each other become the best version of yourself, aspiring to become your higher self at all given times. What you will find in a negatively yoked soul tie is that there's a perpetuation of stagnancy, which the Seven of Pentacles comes to mind, where there is no growth, there is no going forward. Instead, there's a perpetual degradation and a perpetual repetition of rehashed fights between two couples. And I speak and represent the third dimension. And I do believe my panel members will be able to expand further in terms of the mystic element and the cosmic the aspect view in terms of what I'm saying over and above all. But I'm still going on with the course content. Further to that, there's always healthy communication. Now, this one is a big one. Healthy communication speaks to open communication, honest communication, kind communication that strengthens bond. How many people in the room are unable to touch their significant other's phone? The minute you look at the phone, to even look at the time, the people jump like squirrels and want to, they become Jedi, samurai swords and ninjas to try to stop you from seeing what's on the phone. The people are not open and honest and able to share that. There's also a shared purpose between a positive soul tie. And often this is aligned towards individuals that have shared values and life purposes as well. Similarly to Umama Nobaba, Umam Joy, Nobabu Xavier, they become equally yoked in a very positive soul tie. And as you can see, they are in alignment. And your spirit has worked in such a way to give us an example of what is a positive soul tile that lives and exists and can also express itself to us, to say to us as a collective that this can be achieved. This can be achieved. We have been lied to possibly, or we don't have the information at our fingertips to allow us to have these cognitive dissonance. No, maybe not that. To have the necessary tools or skills to identify what am I looking for in this person? Why am I here? Because over and above all, and I stand to be corrected, and I hope that my panel does correct me, is that I'm of the belief that as you incarnate into the world, you come in with a certain amount of debt that you need to pay, right? And you go through a cyclic periods of things called like dark night of the souls and possibly people wanting to get their lick back. My question is, before I proceed even further, is under the auspices of the dark night of the soul, um, would the period of the dark night of the soul count as you paying your karma to the world? And what happens now after you've completed your dark night of the soul?
Okay. I just want to confirm the question because I didn't hear the first part about the dark night of the soul.
Okay, no, can I please repeat? Yeah. No, what I wanted to find out is, as a collective, as we reincarnate repeatedly, it seems as if we come into this earth already with debt on our back. We've got this karmic debt that we need to pay off. And then we go through a series of cycles. And one of the cycles that I can think of right now is the dark night of the souls. And the question then is, once you've paid now this karma, what happens after that?
All right. Okay. So once you have paid all your karma, woohoo, because that's like a, it is so difficult. But
I
what
know.
you become a self-realized, liberated being, and you will earn your spot in the angelic hierarchy. You will be promoted to become an angel, right? So we are on a journey like Jacob's ladder, and this journey is really about becoming these higher aspects of ourselves. So when you complete your cycle on earth, you will go to the next stage where you become an angel, an archangel, and so forth. It's very different with every lineage, every individual, but it's really you will get promoted to go to the next level of existence. And in that level of existence, you will not be incarnating in this earth as we know it. You'll be incarnating in a different type of existence, a different mention of God, and you have a different role. The idea, though, is that the higher roles are less painful than this one that we currently have as a human. The task is less daunting, right? In many ways, you will become a Christ. Right, you become a Christ avatar. You become an ascended master. This is what people are always say, like it's an ascended master and all of that. So you are just becoming you have mastered the earth experience, and now you get to go to the next level of whatever that level is.
Right. So if you master that here and you're still in the physical, you still have another layer to go through, though, to get to what Joy is talking about. Now that you've cleared your debt from the previous lifetime and you've went through the dark aspects of the soul, we must understand that the karmic debt is not stagnant. You can go out tomorrow by the under the realm and under the umbrella of free will, and you can create more debt for yourself this lifetime based on what actions you do, what things you don't do. So it is still a live and active, ever moving, changing field. That is the true wonder of God. Is we can't make God stagnant and just beginning end story complete without the possibility for things to change and be shifted. So when you have this dark night of the soul and you've went through that, you are, to a degree, what Joy said, is you're promoted. But now you're promoted, what you do is no longer just for you. It becomes for your lineage. If you walk in the path of light and good intentions and wanting to be an example, and if you want to live up to becoming a true ancestral guide, and when I say ancestral guide, I mean someone who lived their life as a model for someone to be guided by that comes after them. They created a pathway for their lineage. They created a pathway so that someone comes after them and they can say, I see how this person lived their life. Not only that, but in the spiritual realm, your wisdom, your consciousness, what you've cultivated, your light that you have created begins to shine on behalf of your lineage, and you are a true guiding light for those to come after you. Now, to get to that level, even in this physical realm, it takes more sacrifice. It takes being devoted to the bigger truth. This is why Joy called it the Christos. It's because now the sacrifice isn't just for you clearing your debts just to say I'm good in the spiritual realm. It's now I'm a light, I'm a divine guide in the spiritual realm. So what I do does not just affect me. It affects the lineage I come from. It affects the race that I incarnated in. It has an impact. So I can impact it in a positive way, or I can impact it in a negative way. And when I leave this earth, I have to face the repercussions. I have to accept the consequences for that. So this is what Joy said. It's an ever upgrading, evolving system. But the idea is you get to a point to where, I use the analogy, most people want to think the journey as a beginning and an end, or walking up a ladder. But the greater reality is the universe is circular. It's this ever permeating circle. So you're going around in a circle, and as you go around in the circle, things change, certain aspects of it change. The dimension might change, the realm might change, but the pattern of discipline, of having forgiveness, having understanding, being devoted to a path for the sake of others, being devoted to the path for the sake of being an example. If you are able to hold on to those fundamental principles, those will expand your consciousness in the here and now, but they will also expand your consciousness in the spiritual realm to where you become, what Joy said, an ascended master, a divine beacon of light. And you own that badge based on what you do here and also what you do in that realm as well.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, there we go. My phone is acting up a bit. My network is a bit finicky. Thank you so much, Mr. Xavier. Wow, that was a very powerful response there. And I resonate with that fully. And it's conjuring up so many questions. But in the interest of time, I wish to respect the audience, and also maybe let me open up to the audience that wish to maybe ask any questions as we are also speaking. I'm happy for you to ask any questions now. We're halfway through the workshop, and we're about to conclude. If you've got any questions that you'd like us to engage in, please share them now. I'll make a note so that once we're then wrapping up, we can then also just go through those questions and answer everybody accordingly. So allow me, guys, to just go back into then the aspects in terms of a positive soul tie. One of the other positive aspects is a romantic relationship is always there. A healthy relationship has a loving partnership that is built on mutual trust, mutual care, as well as respect, which is something that is something that we're struggling with in this era, which is rather strange. And friendships are also deep in their connection, and they can stand the test of time and help both these people thrive at all given times. Familiarly, it also has family bonds with supportive relationship within family members who genuinely want the best for each other. Lastly, there are also mentors and teachers, mentor-student relationships that positively impact a personal and or a spiritual development. Now, I think we have covered this question in terms of how is reincarnation connected to soul ties. But in the interest of thoroughness, let me ask the question again to my panel so that we can have just an expansive view. Then I'll be also jotting down some of the questions that we see here. See the question here from Ofe, and then we can continue. The question is, how is reincarnation connected to soul ties?
Okay. We have to keep, unmuting, so that takes a bit of time for those who are joining us. So how is reincarnation connected to soul ties? Right, as Wef had just said, the circle of life is a cycle. So we go in to life, the live stream, and then we come out into the spirit world, and then we keep continuing. This is what we call the reincarnation process, or the reincarnation wheel. And the purpose of reincarnation is so that we can master, become what we're just talking about, the ascended master. Right. And as I spoke about this earlier, that the earth experience is like a clock, right? There's a cycle, right? So when we begin our life, our first life on earth, you are entering a circle, or you could think of it like you are entering a game. And in that game, you're supposed to go 100 levels. And then you will have won the game of life, right? So reincarnation is an opportunity in some ways for you to master the big lesson of your soul. And the big lesson of your soul ultimately is to remember who you are, right, as a child of God, but also as a creator being. So you see, soul families, soul lineages, as we've spoken about how they're created, they also often hold a particular essence, or what we call the logo, which connects to why you're saying that words are also very powerful, right? Because words are the logos we declare through the words. But back to the essence of an individual. So some of you here are literally the embodiment of love. And some of you are the embodiment of compassion, the embodiment of beauty, the embodiment of abundance. Do you know that friend of yours who, for whatever reason, she just always has money, even when she gets into partnerships, or her partners are millionaires and they give her money? You're like, where do you find these people? Right? Where is that coming from? Is because part of her essence is connected to abundance, right? So I'm going to use that example. So if your essence as a soul, and part of what you are here to do and express as a soul, as well as a soul family, is abundance. When you start your journey on earth, you're not going to always experience it in abundance. You're going to have to master what you are, abundance itself. So you're going to take a couple of years, a couple of lifetimes, to master this abundance, or to master this wisdom, or to master this love that you are, right? There will be lifetimes where you do manage to be a righteous being who creates your wealth without stealing from others. And there will be lifetimes where you do steal. And when you do steal, you are creating a tie with whoever you stole from. And then because you stole from someone because of greed, you have to come back and pay back that in a different lifetime. And that is how reincarnation is connected to soul ties. Every lifetime, the Egyptians had that concept of the feather, where your deeds have to be weighed and to be seen. And there is grace, there's divine grace. We are not expected to be all perfect, but there is where sometimes your deeds are more in the negative side than the positive side. And every time our deeds are against who we are, if you are here to be the embodiment of love, and all the deeds you did were not of love, that is a betrayal to your own soul, to your own soul family, to the soul lineage, to the collective, to God. And you're going to have to come back and repay that. And that may look like you have to pay back to all the people that you didn't give love to, because you're meant to give them love, right? And so you come back, and now there's a tie, and you find yourself as a schoolmaster a school teacher where you have to teach hundreds of kids and teach them love and share love with them. And it's also really a beautiful design. It's not all negative, right? So this is what reincarnation, for me, I perceive it, how it connects to soul ties. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So I agree, absolutely. The template and the impulse for each soul family is going to be different. That's why there's so much diversity as humans down here. So there are people that are gifted in writing, people that are gifted in storytelling, people that are gifted in creativity with creating music, producing music, actors, giving wonderful speeches, wonderful teachers. Everyone in their soul has an imprint. They have a map of what they are destined to be. A piece of God, if you will. Their artistry of how the stream of God is moving through them, of who they are, what piece are they in the cosmos, the grand scheme of things. And that wants to play out in the most organic way it can, free from contamination, free from distortion. And to get to that point, sometimes you don't get it right the first time. Sometimes it takes a couple of times. What I will say is the more you accept that is part of this game, and you accept the rules, if you will, the more expedited your journey will be, to where you will level up and you understand how the game works, how the laws work, versus trying to fight it and trying to override it. What we don't want is what's actually kind of very common in the new age era, where they say, I'm just ready to be done with this. I'm ready to get out of here. I get that perspective, and I've been there as well, but to a degree, that perspective is missing the whole point. From the feminine lens, many feminine energies and women love the experience, the expression. So in your soul essence, there is an innate expression that wants to manifest. This is why people feel like, as what's the word, like their highest degree of happiness when they're doing a particular thing, when they're speaking, when they're writing, when they're expressing and doing a particular act. They feel like they're in their zone. They feel like they're outside of the simulation. That is a divine intervention, because that's what is in you that wants to be expressed in this way. And the laws of incarnation dictate, hey, you didn't get it right this time. And there's almost an impulse. We think that we're being punished, but the greater lens is there's an impulse in your soul that wants you to get it right, because your soul and your spirit can see the wealth and the abundance that comes when you get it right, when you master this journey, how you expand yourself, you expand your consciousness, and you're contributing to that collective piece of all that is. This is even why some people end up in toxic relationships, as Joy says, maybe because in previous lifetime they didn't treat these people so well. So people that have energies where they can't explain why someone always kind of seems to be able to put them under their thumb, or they always kind of fall to whatever this person asks them to do or requests them to do, even though they feel like, I shouldn't be doing this. I told myself I wasn't going to do this again. This is part of that karmic law playing out, and also the laws of reincarnation. The best bet is to put all your cards on the table every lifetime, and well, we're speaking right now, so this lifetime. Do the best you can, but understand the best you can is not the same for every person. You have to know what speaks to your soul, and you have to go beyond your intellectual mind, your human mind, and know what the frequency and vibration of your soul is. Once you tap into that, that is the most divine essence you can ever experience. This is why someone who does master classes online can be just as spiritually endowed with wealth as someone who is a healer in the healing space, because that person who did the master classes and teaching, that was their calling, that was their divine soul impulse. They came here to do that work. And that person that was in the healing space doing the healing with the different clients, their soul came here to do that work. So we can't have prejudice, and we can't say one is better than the other. We have to understand it's a collective piece, and that is really the law of reincarnation, making sure you know what your soul map and your soul impulse is.
Wow, powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. Mr. Zab, I keep having follow-up questions as the deeper you go, the deeper the questions are also gone within myself, and I feel that the collective would also want to have an understanding of. You mentioned one of the soul's purpose is to have this divine expression within the divine feminine experience. Why is it that it feels as if that there's this perpetual block or this inexplicable difficulty to then express this divine expression? And I hope I've asked the question well.
Okay. Just to confirm, you were asking what makes it difficult to express the divine, to express the
the
what?
divine feminine impulse in this realm.
Okay, the
Why is it
expression,
so
the creativity.
yes.
Okay, the expression, the creativity. Is that what you're saying, Makosi?
Makud.
Yes, yes. It's just as a follow-up in terms of Mr. Xavier, as he was explaining, one of our soul's purpose here is to then, as you use the example of the divine feminine, that they're here to then express themselves with that divine divinity that they hold and harness. Over and above all, there seems to be an energetic confluence of a perpetual blockage to that actually being able to being expressed, be that being maybe the partner that you're being yoked with is either not ready for you in terms of before as we were speaking a bit earlier, that we came in and we had these soul ties or these spiritual agreements that we'll all come into this life to then teach each other lessons or be here for reasons or seasons in people's lives, or also be the particular vessel to become a divine expression. Why is there this perpetual blockage and this non-movement, this stagnancy, where there's now this rise of these toxic relationships, these I think let me leave it at that. I think yeah.
All right. Okay, I understand now.
All right. Okay,
Right.
I understand
So
now. Right. So
okay. Yes. Okay. Just checking. So the difficulty with just divine expression as a collective, right? The feminine is probably more inclined to be able to express themselves more compared to the masculine. And that's connected once again to what I call the cosmic clock, like the cycle that we're in. In this cycle, we have focused a lot on developing the I, and the I is the mind. So we were in this particular season where we were focusing on how can we use our mind better. And the more we leaned into that, the more softer aspects of who we are as creation were just kind of like pushed or forgotten, right? The heart, for example, or the soul, the spirit, we're no longer able to use or tap into them as much, which is why we have been able to create what we have created thus far, right? So it's part of a cycle, and it happens, and we will evolve out of it. We will return back to times where we will be creating, and there were times as well in the past, in Atlantis, in Lemuria, in ancient Egypt, where divine expression was very easy. You could be the artist you wanted to be, right? But as we are in this particular cycle, this is where we are, and that is what is happening. And with regards to the cycle and how we now starting to see these toxic relationships rising up, when we find a collective of energy where there's like a pattern, a repetition of like single motherhood, relationships, collapse of relationships taking place, part of it is because there is a collective healing and a collective clearing. And many of us, we have incarnated specifically to clear the debt that we have formed in other lifetimes. So we find ourselves calling in people who we hold a heavy soul tie with. And part of that is so that we can heal and we can bring balance and we can harmonize, right? And so this collective toxic relationship is actually connected to a collective shift that's happening on the earth, where we are being given an opportunity to clear much more than we have ever been able to clear in other times, in other generations. So we are in the cusp of big change as a generation. And because of that, the work that our grandparents maybe skipped, didn't get to do, we are the generation that has to do that. And we will see that being reflected not always as peace, but challenges and difficulties and collapses, because something new is trying to emerge, and there is a new emergence of new family systems and new relationship patterns that are more healthier. And so the old ones have to die, and we unfortunately are the warriors who are in the middle of having to let the past or the dead energy die, and it's going to happen through us. You see, all of it is never going to just happen and we're looking at it like, oh, there the earth is healing. The earth heals through us, right? And so we are finding ourselves in toxic relationship because our soul is trying to learn how to speak up for itself. It's trying to learn how to create boundaries for itself. It's trying to learn to know the difference between, respect and compassion and love, and the opposite of that. And so there's this more of like a battle, internal battle. Some of the things we grew up being told, they're not easy to like see a lot of that because of this reconfiguration that's taking place, where we are trying to create something new, right? So for me, when I see the rise of toxic relationship, I'm like, oh yeah, there is some deep healing, because it clearly means that our souls are refusing to just be in something just because we want to just be in a family. We are now saying, no, we're actually not okay with the way dad is speaking to mom. We're actually not okay with this. We're going to talk about the boundary that is being crossed here. And in many ways, that's actually divine expression. So this generation is expressing itself. It just appears to be negative, but it's a clearing and it's a healing, right? So there is a huge aspect of that.
Right. Yes. 100%. And the other factor to contribute to the answer to the question is the patriarch that has been dictating our civilization for quite a while now. The masculine energy with creating structure, organization, the way that we are brought into this world as children, we are quickly taught what you should and what you should not do, what you can, what you cannot say, how you should act and how you shouldn't act. And that immediately creates a level of compression and collapse in the ability to express ourselves as we are as a soul being. The natural, innate, organic pattern and frequency that's moving through us, it becomes stagnant and difficult the older we get, because we're taught how to think, what things to say, what things not to say. Especially for the masculine, who's taught you're supposed to be the provider, you're supposed to be the stronghold for the family. And as Joy says, we're in the era now where the masculine energies that are coming through are not so much 100% for that. They would much rather have relationship without strings attached, or no obligations, and don't want to have a family, want to be the free bachelor. And in a way, yes, it's not the most organic thing, but as Joy said, it's the energy of rejecting and rebelling and saying something is wrong here. So I have to do something to try to change these variables that are occurring. But in the greater, more organic sense, the masculine is supposed to be able to express itself in a way that still is perceived as being strong, but very opinionated. And there's a whole discussion about the feminine aspect being able to hold space for the masculine to be vulnerable, but still perceived as being strong. Being able to see the masculine if the masculine needs support, to where he's not looked at as a weakling or a wimp, versus understanding this man can become stronger by opening up himself and expressing himself in a way that his power now flows through him. He is the true warrior because he has gotten in touch with his spiritual prowess, his true innate ability to create. That is what we are all here for as humans, is to create, or to be an expression of something that is within our soul. And if we are stifled that ability, the natural reaction is there's going to be suffering. There's going to be an impulse to create suffering for other people because we're not happy. And that is the biggest thing in the patriarch reign, is the masculine energy is created suffering for races. It's created suffering for the feminine energy, and now the feminine energy is fighting back with feminist movement because they weren't seen, they weren't heard. So there is this level of equilibrium and balance that has to be created, but it has to start with the difficult conversation of the feminine being opening their hearts for the masculine to express themselves in a healthy way, not in a tyrant way of saying this is how it is, but to say, you know what, I feel this way honestly about a situation, even though you want me to feel this way. I feel pressure to have children. I feel pressure to be the leader of the house. I do feel I'm capable of doing this, but I also want this from you. And for the feminine to be supportive and also create a level of support for the masculine where they're able to listen, but also able to be the masculine's advisor. This is the other aspect, is the masculine has to receive the advice from the feminine aspect, because the feminine is the womb and the space to where the seed can be planted in there. But without that feminine energy of expression, of thoughts, of reviewing the ideas and coming out, and until that thought is completely rooted in the womb space of creation and it's giving birth to something pure, organic, that was meditated on, that was thought about intuitively and intentionally, that is the key component that will open up the expression. And it's in the microcosmic as well as the macro. You can start with your own relationships with the feminine aspect. You can start with your mother. You can start with your sister. You can start with your girlfriend. But there's a collective domino effect that needs to happen by doing that, to where the collective is able to see that there is a need for expression, not only in the artistic creative spaces, but in the spaces where there are leaders, where there are presidents, where there are councilmen and councilwomen, and in the places where there are politicians, in the places where there are healers who are doing healing work and need and are the strong warriors, but need a moment to be vulnerable and say, hey, this is difficult. I'm having a hard time with this. I don't feel supported. We need more spaces like that, because we've been taught that is a sign of weakness, when in reality, when you have that type of support, you are able to dig deeper into your spiritual warrior that knows the mission and is able to execute it with more accuracy and efficiency.
Are you with us, Dondo? Because we don't hear you.
So my mic ran out of the battery. Sorry about that. I was just expressing that, this has been such a fruitful encounter as I'm listening. I'm getting goosebumps and chills as I'm listening to Mr. Xavier explain the intricacies of where we are at the present moment. And I was expressing that my lineage is literally giving him a standing ovation in the eloquence of expression in terms of the divine language that has been used in and within this live. And we truly appreciate it. And I hope that everybody is still following with us. And I know that we've gone very, 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 very deep, and we've slightly took a bit of a slight detour, but in and within the realm, within soul ties, because what we're discussing is of absolute imperative importance that we also inculcate so that we can have the full or a bit of a broader view in terms of what is the bigger picture that we should be observing. Indeed, Lutando, it is an awesome workshop. Thank you very much for the feedback, guys. Can we have, by expression of love, can we just tap the screens? Please also follow our panel members, show some love to them and their pages as well. And then in the interest of time, I'm also looking at time. I'm trying to make sure that we can just condense everything. We are actually only on page number 5 of 8. So I'm just going to skip some of the few aspects that we were going to speak about, and then I'm going to jump onto, we've already spoken in terms of how soul ties are formed, but I think this is also important because what we'll be speaking to is also the impact, the sign of soul ties, breaking free, the possibility of return. So if everybody is still comfortable, please also, by a show of hearts, please give us an expression there, then I can continue. Thank you very much, everybody. In terms of the formation of soul ties are formed through meaningful relationships, number one. Number two could be also through intimacy. Number three, it is through shared experiences and spiritual practices. They can arise in, once again, a romantic, a platonic, or a familial connection. What is the impact of these soul ties? They strengthen relations. They need to provide emotional support and encourage personal growth. What is the impact of negative soul ties? They can create emotional dependency. They hinder personal growth and perpetuate toxic patterns. What are the signs of a soul tie? The obvious and most telltale signs of a soul tie is deep emotional attachment, lingering thoughts, difficulty in letting go, a strong influence over emotions and decisions. How do we break free? To serve a soul tie, we need to focus on self-healing, as Mr. Xavier had said. We need to focus indeed on forgiveness. We need to have intentional actions, such as prayer, such as journaling, such as well as going through the mystery school, where we need to also reconnect and remember our agreements that we had that we're going to serve in and within this lifetime, so that we can be able to then clear that karmic debt, in a manner of speaking, that we can be on par, and also be mindful that as we progress, the earth in itself, or this life experience, is not stagnant. Indeed, as Mr. Xavier had said, we can and do have the potential to create karmic debt in and within for ourselves, within this lifetime, and also for future generations. And it's for us to be also mindful and cognitive of that, to establish boundaries and limits in and within all the persons that are involved in each karmic relationship, or these type of soul tie relationships that we have. Number 5, is there a possibility of a return of a soul tie if I've now cleared the karmic debt with person A? Absolutely. Soul ties may re-emerge if unresolved emotions or continued contact exists. All right. Preventing their return requires self-awareness, closure, and personal growth. And this sentence says to me at this present moment in time that it becomes absolutely imperative to understand, and this analogy comes to mind, that at times you may have a friendship that is established between yourself and person A or B. And for whatever reason, that friendship serves its time and there's an abrupt ending to that particular relationship. As this particular stanza says here, the possibility of return. If you continue to be in contact with that particular person, you risk creating new karmic debt, whereas you've already settled this karmic debt. And I've got questions that are in my mind, but in the interest of time, I wish to proceed so that we can cover as much of the cause contact as possible. Now, soul ties can shape us in very profound ways, teaching us about love, vulnerability, as well as resilience. While positive soul ties can be cherished, negative ones should also be addressed to promote emotional and spiritual well-being. By reflecting on lessons these bonds bring, reflecting on lessons that these bonds bring, we can use them as an opportunity for healing as well as self-discovery. Feeling understood and supported by others is something that we all need at a very deep fundamental soul level. Let's speak about these spiritual bonds in terms of a soul tie as well. We have spiritual bonds that have a shared sense of purpose or alignment in terms of spiritual belief and values, still under the positive soul ties. These spiritual bonds help uplift and influence that encourages personal growth and well being once again. They also have healthy attachment style. They don't have anxious attachment styles. Okay, these attachments are balanced between these connections, and there's an expression and the room for individuality so that everybody can be able to express themselves accordingly. And thank you so much, everybody, for all the gifts, all the love, all the hearts, all the likes, all the shares. Please continue. I am very much following on the screen. Further to that, there's also a mutual encouragement within these positive soul ties, which have a further exacerbation in terms of strengthening and comfort through tough times. They also have motivation to achieve goals and become a better version of ourselves. And as I'm reading all of these positive aspects of soul ties, I'm feeling the energetic confluence from the room saying to me, Yazi Mkhulu, this is exactly what we're looking for in our relationships. Yazi Mkhulu, this is exactly how we want to present as well in our relationships, Mkhulu. Yet we find ourselves in a bit of a dilemma where we may feel that there's these invisible blocks that create this perpetual struggle or uphill battle to achieve this level of positivity. It seems as if there's an air or some form of, I don't know what to call it, but there's more of a focus on being very toxic than actually putting in the work. And Spirit is saying to me, all things that are worth having are worth working for. And everything that is worth working for sometimes looks like hard work and is dressed in an overall. And this is what is the one thing that is actually deterring a lot of the collective. It looks like a lot of work. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like, it's never going to be achieved. It feels like an experience when you go to gym. We all go to gym with a clear mindset, with a clear goal that I want a six-pack, I want muscles, I want to look good for summer. So let me start now so that I can be that person. But as we go into gym, we then start meeting these challenges in and within the gym environment. And most of the time, these challenges speak to us. These are our own internal challenges that are facing us that at some level, you may not even, maybe one of the most biggest challenges that people get discouraged very quickly because they're expecting very quick results in this microwave economy, or this microwave what is it called, generation that we're in. It seems that we don't have the patience or the tenacity or even the guiding map to get to our destination and to our goal. And it's as if Spirit is saying that we need to go back to the drawing board and introspect, echoing back on the words of Umam Joy and Ubabo Xavier in terms of everything that we've discussed here. What do we need to do as a collective? What has Mkhulu shared in terms of what is a positive soul tie? I would love to experience this soul tie. And it speaks to the DNA or this imprinted memory that we have in and within us, that love and the true essence and the true presentation of love, as the lover's card is standing close to me, is the one that has no obstacles. Is one that has no obstacles. It's a love that is clear. It is divinely connected. It is a love that is pure. It is a love that creates warmth and abundance. It is a love that creates this amber within us. But our society seemingly is always unevenly yoked with an obstacle of possibly a third party. This can be a person, people, places, or things that create these these anomalies or these obstacles in and within our lives, which causes confusion. And this confusion, as we see it here, is represented furthermore in the Seven of Cups, which then creates an environment where we feel overburdened. And this situation creates a situation where a tower is then formed. And it seems like it's a vicious cycle that we're going into. Things start off very beautifully. There's an obstacle, there's confusion, there's burden, there's towers. And for the most part, because of the nature of these soul ties, especially the ones that are here to clear off karmic debt, this is their purpose. And I think this is the information that we are not privy of, is that it's okay to let some relationships go. Some relationships are not meant to last a lifetime. We're here to get our lick, as Mr. Zovius has said, and I'm not going to say that it's a lick per se, but we're here to clear that karmic debt, for us to facilitate this forgiveness, for us to facilitate this understanding, for us to facilitate understanding our roles of healing these aspects so that we can grow and reach these new aspects. In the interest of time, let me tap into then the negative aspects of soul ties. Now, true to form, these ties can feel very restrictive, draining, and harmful. And automatically, I think a lot of us in the room who've experienced a negative soul tie or resonate quite strongly with those three characteristics. They feel restrictive, they are draining, and they are harmful. All right. Now, let us go into the emotional dependencies. Negative soul ties create difficulty in functioning without the other person. We spoke about codependency. There's a constant longing for their attention or their approval. They then create toxic patterns, recurring arguments, and unhealthy cycles that are hard to break. Feelings of guilt, shame, or manipulation. Difficulty in letting go, the inability to move on if the relationship is no longer beneficial, their unwanted memories or emotions that are tied to this particular person, loss of self. Loss of self. And I mean, Spirit is also cued me here to then saying there's a difference between loss of self and reactance. There's a very thin line there, and I wish to just explain it here. The loss of self is the sense of an identity being overshadowed by the connection, also compromising your values or needs to maintain the tie. Reactance is something similar to that, but reactance is almost the opposite of that. You do lose yourself, but you're actually letting go of the negative aspects of yourself and moving into your higher self, which can easily feel like the loss of self. And I hope I've explained that quite well. There's also spiritual hindrances in negative soul ties. There's a feeling of spiritual drainage and disconnect due to that particular bond. There's a sense that this connection conflicts with personal beliefs or growth. How these soul ties are formed again, we've gone into detail with that, but let me just rehash the 4 key points. They are formed by physical intimacy, emotional experiences, spiritual connections, commitments, and promises, which is something that we take lightly. The covenant of the power of the tongue, the things that we say, ilimi liyadala ngesiZulu, and we seem to have forgotten by the power of the tongue and the covenants that we form when we enter into agreements, when we promise people that we will be doing X, Y, and Z, and we don't fulfill those promises. I've got another question to my panel members. What is karmic debt, and how does it play a role in and around soul ties as a whole?
Okay. I do believe we have covered this in the conversation when it comes to karmic death. So we live in a self-regenerative universe or planet or realm, if you will. And this particular realm, it likes more than anything balance, it likes harmony, right? And so every action that we do, there's always an equal effect of that action that our universe or our realm will always create, right? So if we do an action that is filled with love, there is always going to be that energy coming back to you, right, in one way or another, in a different time maybe, but it is part of the law. And this law is called karmic law, right? That every action that you do, there will be another energy that comes back to return that energy, right? So one of the reasons why we have soul ties is because there are actions that we do take that affect other people in our lives that we are connected to. And some of these actions, they may be positive, as you were just saying, they could be where we are bringing love in someone's life. And so there will be other energies that will come in that relationship that are reflecting that we're doing that for each other. And then there will be other negative actions that we do that create pain for the other person. And so because of that, then there is a debt where you owe that person now because you've hurt that soul in a particular way. And because of our origin being that we are actually one huge cosmic being, this cosmic being will always find ways in which it can repair itself, right? So the way you will repair itself is by paying back whoever you've hurt, right? So for every action, as much as we as human beings think that there is no one watching, this universe is always calculating, right? So some of us, we have some debts that we have to pay. Some of us, we have inherited these debts from our lineages, right? This is where you might find that you are married to someone who your ancestry owed, your family owed that family. So you end up magnetizing each other, and there's a marriage, and that marriage is supposed to clear out that debt, right? So this is how karmic debt and soul ties are connected.
As I'm doomed down. And in
Right.
closing,
It's based on
Madonna,
actions
how do you
taken in
find?
the
Sorry.
Okay.
No, continue, Madonna. I know the network. I thought you were finished, and I thought let me jump in with another question, but please continue.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I was finished. I said like there's this feedback loop that is
Oh,
automated once you're on this planet. And that is what we call the karmic law. It ensures that there's always balance. We always pay what we owe to each other.
100%. Madonna, what offerings do you guys offer at the Mystery School, and how can the collective get a hold of you? And we've explained all the benefits, I suppose, part of the benefits in terms, especially under the topic of soul ties. Can we just have some more information about that and how we can get a hold of you and other services that maybe have not been mentioned that could be of value for the purpose of this workshop?
All right. Thank you, Mkulu. So I'm just going to type in our website in the comments for everyone who's here. But the website is called Warrior Mystery School, Warrior from the word warrior, mysteryschool.com. Right, and if you visit our website, you will be able to see the different offerings that we have. As an institution, our focus is to support those who are spiritually gifted, and we support them through different courses, different offers where we train you and expand your knowledge of the mysteries of creation. Something similar to what we're teaching, but obviously with a curriculum because it's a school. We also have different offers that are for supporting healers. We find ourselves constantly interacting with healers. And so we are supporting those who are initiated healers, those who are seasoned healers, and even gobellas that work with us in private mentorship and so forth. We also do the biggest part of what we do is the initiation of those who are prophetically inclined. I think in South Africa you call it isithunywa, right? So those who have that boporofeta, we awaken that particular gift. And besides that, we do have once-off sessions which you can book, that different types of sessions that are available, where you can book a session with us depending on your interest, whether you would like to receive a map of your prophecy, the prophecy God has on your life, for your life, where you want to understand more about your blood, your ancestry, your lineage, where you come from a bloodline level as well as from a cosmic level. Like, we are also able to map and see where we come from in terms of in the spiritual realm. Definitely love that offering. And we also have where you can do a Q&A with Wef and I, as I'm the oracle, Wef as the cosmic priest, and we bring a similar kind of transmission, but like specific to you. And we also have healing. We love and believe in healing. We have offers that are for healing your soul, your spirit, your inner self, your bloodline, liberating yourself. So a lot of the work that we do is what we call psycho-spiritual liberation. Whatever is making our lives difficult, whether it's in our mind, psychologically or spiritually, that is what we're interested in, how we can free ourselves from these things that are painful, that are difficult, that many of us, we live with this for a long time and we think it's normal, and we're here to say it's not, and there's a way out, and that is what we're committed to do. Right? So for those who are interested, you can visit our website, What I Missed to School, and you can also just follow our social media platforms as well. This is actually our first time in TikTok, and this has been interesting for us. Right? So we don't have a TikTok presence, but this is convincing us, like, oh, maybe we need to do something about that. But we are on Instagram and Facebook and on YouTube, and you can check us out. We have tons and tons of live streams and videos that you can watch replays if you are interested in that. Yeah.
Yes. To add to everything Joy has said, a lot of our once-off sessions would be great pairings for this masterclass, for understanding what your soul ties are and how they're affecting your life, how they're impacting your life, that relationship that is not working the way you want it to, or the lack of a relationship, definitely connected to soul ties. But we go deeper in terms of, I believe Joy calls it harmonic prophecy, to where we are able to go in and see the prophetic fields and the auricular fields of what your destiny is in this lifetime, what your mission is, the work you're here to do. So for any of you that are unclear about that divine frequency that you have within your soul and what you're here to do, if you're uncertain, or even if you need some alignment and some affirmations, a lot of those once-off sessions will definitely help with that. Mapping those things out, as Joy said, as well as the people that are practicing healers that are seeking better clarity because they feel a little bit of a stagnancy in their work, or their progression isn't where they thought it should be or where they want it to be, maybe not getting enough clients. You'll be surprised to know how a lot of that is connected to your actual spiritual location, or in this case, your soul tie. What is in your soul, and you may be marketing yourself or putting yourself in a location that is countering the actual blessing or anointing you have in the soul realms, that it makes it difficult for you to magnetize yourself to get the right people that you're destined to be in service to, and clear that debt that we were speaking of.
Yeah. And because we are a couple that works together, we do find that couples are also drawn to us. And for those who also are interested in booking as a couple, that's also something that we do as well. Yeah.
Thokozani bantu abadala. Thank you so much. And as well, what I've also done for the collective here, I've also posted the picture of the mystery school as well as the website. So for everybody that wants to find out more about the mystery school, just go on to my story. You'll find the biography of both our panel members and a picture of myself for those who haven't seen me as yet, because I'm always showing my table. You can see my face. I always get those messages in my inbox. And most importantly, then there is this link to the mystery school. And as we've heard, I think what the mystery school is offering is something of great value to link you through exactly what the is, as well as understanding your harmonic prophecy and what is your divine purpose on this earth, how your placement is also affecting your success. These are key pertinent questions that we all need answers to, and I would really like to encourage each and everybody in the room to really make sure that they take full advantage of this offer that has been put on the table from our panel members. Izindlondlo sithi sina siyakhuleka emakhosini, thina sithi siyakhuleka kunenazi indlondlo, siyacamagusha emacamakweni, sithi makwechose makubekubele, makudede bonke ubumnyama kuvele ukukhanya. Bantu abadala, I'd like to give and extend a very heartfelt thank you and gratitude to the both of you, Mom Joy and Ubabo Xavier. It has been an absolute honor to host you today on this, and I hope that this isn't the last time we engage. I hope this is the first of many. I felt that this session was very fruitful for everybody that is in the room, and I do think we do need to have a TikTok presence in terms of uh, the, 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 the reach that both of you can actually absolutely phenomenal. And above all, I truly thank you for your time. I'm looking at the time now, I'm thinking, sure, it's going for 2 hours, and it's been such a phenomenal workshop. We've managed to cover all the aspects what we wanted to cover for today, everybody. So we were able to cover all the 8 pages. I'm very happy about that. And I'm very grateful to Spirit and everybody that has been in the room, who's participated and was able to send the love, share the links, follow us, and be in contact while we're still doing this workshop. And we hope that you'll enjoy even future workshops that I'm also putting together for the collective. With that being said, thank you very much, Mama Joy. Thank you very much, Babu Xavier. And I truly appreciate you. And hope to see you again in the very I do know my collective loves the session that I'm about to go into as a way of saying thank you. There's a session that I do for my collective where we go into the dark confessions of the soul, and I put in some oracle cards, which is a very it's a firm favorite here in terms of the collective. So for everybody that is in the room, the next session will be the dark confession. I won't be playing the cards for everybody. Mama Joy, Babu Xavier, is there any parting words that you'd like to share?
Yes, we just wanted to thank you for inviting us to your sacred space, the sacred community. We really enjoyed ourselves here tonight. Right, as we said, this is our first time on TikTok, and we love the vibe. And yeah, just really grateful to share wisdom with everyone here, and for everyone who joined us. Thank you for granting us, your time to be here with us tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, we are truly grateful for this opportunity and experience, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, guys. I'd really love for the panel members also, please stay in the room if you do have time, just to see how I engage with the collective as I move on to the Dark Confessions of the Soul. It's a rather exciting segment, and it pulls quite a lot of people. So in terms of the workshop, guys, we have concluded the workshop. And I'll be taking then the names now of everybody that would like to have any dark confessions of the soul. So here's the fun part, guys. Thank you very much, Mama Joy. Thank you very much, Baba Xavier. Um, let's enjoy. Let's start with Spume. And I switch very quickly, guys. It's a bit scary sometimes. I myself scare myself, but nonetheless, let's go into that. So the dark confession of the soul that your partner would like to share with you at this present moment is that I cannot support your actions. It is too much for me to deal with at this present moment in time. Paul. Your message is, I'm seeing someone, but I'm not ready for you to know about them just yet. Tsepiso. Tsepiso, your message is, I'm finally seeing my worth, yet I'm still feeling unworthy of your love. For Masina, your message is, my pride and ego got hurt, so I wanted to get revenge. I wanted to hurt you too. Dinero. Messages for Dinero. Let's tap the screen, guys. Let's send some love. Let's have some hearts in there. Let's get the momentum. Let's share the live, everybody. Let's get everybody back into the room. I tried to run from this connection, but my soul craves you. That is for Dinero. For Lizzie. Your person wants to say, I am thinking of you at night when the world is asleep and my mind is awake. Sakumzi. Here's your card from Spirit. I cannot give you what you want or deserve. I am sorry. For Yvonne. Yvonne, I feel unbalanced and uneasy. I don't know what to do to fix it. Ayabugwa. Ayabugwa, your message. I feel cold and detached from this connection. I cannot feel emotions right now. Nolita, this situation has become very difficult for me to manage mentally. It is draining me. Lebuchang, your card is slipping here. I don't want to be contacted right now. I wish to be left alone. For Bree, your message is, I don't understand what you see in me. I don't even feel attractive. For More, I feel empty and hollow inside. I cannot open up right now. And I think that's everybody that I've been able to render. Oh, Simtandile. I've lost faith in you and cannot see a future with you anymore. And I did promise that I would be giving a free reading, and the winner of the free reading there is Ufense. Guys. The winner of the free reading is Ufense. If she's still in the room, I will contact her. We've been in contact before. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I would have also wanted to answer any yes/no questions, but in the interest of time, we've been on the live for about 2 hours, guys. I thought, let me also just add these questions or some answers to people. But overall, thank you very much for your time, everybody. I hope everybody has a good night moving forward. It has been a very eventful day for myself, very, very, very long hours that I've invested in terms of today. I am feeling drained. For most of you, you'll feel that my voice is rather strained or feeling tired or a little slower than usual. Yeah, it has been quite a long day for me. Overall, thank you so much, everybody. Please remember to check out my story, to check the website in terms of the Warrior Mystery School. Do remember to follow and like the pages of our panels that were here today, panel members that were here today, so that we can continue to grow this community. And I do hope to continue this series again next week, Spirit-led, and we'll continue to unpack even other topics that are of pertinent importance to us, so that we can all get, more empowered and make more informed decisions. With that being said, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Bree. Thank you for all the gifts. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the follows. I truly appreciate every one of you, and I wish you a very good night. May the mercies and the glory of the Lord be with you at this present moment in time. May the angels encamp around your home as you sleep tonight and protect you. May you wake up feeling rejuvenated and refreshed. May you have solutions to your problems tonight. May you be able to also forgive those that have trespassed against you. May you be able to have the solutions to the soul ties that you formed in this realm. May you have enlightenment. May you reach your higher self. May you be the beacon of hope and light that you see and inspire within yourself, and the light and the change that we aspire to see in the world. With that being said, thank you very much, everybody. Have yourself a good night. Thank you very much, Hope. Thank you very much. Is it Adang? Thank you very much, Dee. Thank you as well, Yvonne. Thank you, lovely T. Always good to see you here. Thank you, Makosi and Simtandile. And it's a wrap.